Are you looking to stay informed about what's going on in Madison without the media spin? Well, here's the latest news from the Wisconsin Assembly Chambers brought right into your home, directly from the office of your representative, who truly values his constituents' feedback and is always working hard on the issues that matter to you. Welcome to the Ramthun Report.
Hello, fellow patriots. Welcome to our 33rd episode. This week's hot topics include a look into the policy manual for the duties of the Speaker, as well as some contradicting statements that he's made recently. A shout out to the Barron County Patriots who put out a dynamite statement of conviction regarding our efforts to address election integrity. And lastly, we've got news about the latest developments regarding redistricting, and we close with some great news regarding some elevation of class to this office. So here's Representative Ramthun with some passion about the continued obstruction that we're facing with our audit efforts.
Hello everybody. Ramthun Report number 33 in the docket today. Welcome aboard. Three things to run past you to begin with. I'd like to touch on my ongoing frustration with the investigation and apparent audit process going on in our state. The Legislative Audit Bureau has yet to give us the information they started to collect back in mid-February. They said it would happen this fall, and fall was 3 weeks ago tomorrow. So I'm anxiously waiting for any information from the Legislative Audit Bureau. The second thing I'd like to touch on is in the Assembly Rules book, there is a section under Duties of the Speaker and Speaker Pro Tem that touches the point of other contention I have regarding subpoenas, or lack thereof, at least ones that work to get some results and information to move forward. Powers and duties. The Speaker is required to authenticate all acts, orders, or proceedings from the Assembly and, with the countersignature of the Chief Clerk, issues all subpoenas on behalf of the Assembly or its committees. Campaign and Elections Committee Chairperson issued 2 subpoenas 3 months ago. Yes, a little bit of a technical issue has been resolved. However, those subpoenas have not been reissued. Why? Assembly Rule 3, duties of the Speaker shall. This is not a conditional statement, it's not a subjective statement, it's a specific order that says you shall authenticate by personal signature when required acts, orders, and proceedings of the Assembly. And then if you move down to item O, it says specifically, issue subpoenas with the countersignature of the Chief Clerk for the attendance of witnesses before any Assembly committee, and issue summary process for the arrest of any witnesses disobeying the mandate of the subpoena. So you've got evidence here that says you have been presented subpoenas by the committee chair, you need to sign them. There's a reason for them specific for Milwaukee and Brown County. That reason still exists. I think there's enough evidence now that maybe we don't need to talk about audits anymore, but I think we need to get the audits so we can have the information so that people understand why we're investigating and why we may have prosecution and charges following and why other things may happen after that. But we've got to get the data out and the specifics to show purpose. And once the purpose is in place, actions can be taken. And we're lacking action because we're not getting things done with subpoenas. That's item point number 1 regarding lack of movement, obstruction, whatever you want to call it. I understand, I have a little printout here from the Speaker where he has stated back on October 6th that he believed there was fraud in the election. This was an interview, by the way, he did with Christina Bobb from OAN. And he did state in that interview that he believes there was fraud on the 6th of October, and he didn't have an answer on how that would affect the outcome of the election. Fast forward 3 weeks, essentially, to Tuesday, October 19th, on the morning show with WISN Public Radio, our Speaker had made a comment that said there's reason to believe that the 2020 election in Wisconsin was tainted, but President Joe Biden won. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know how you certify an election that was tainted. So if you're going to say it was tainted after you said there was fraud, what changed from the fraud to the taint? I don't know. There's no communication on that. Do I believe in the end that Joe Biden won the election? Yeah, I think he did. Vos, Republican from Rochester, said Tuesday morning in an interview with WPR's The Morning Show, there's no doubt he's the president, that's where we are. Well, I have contention with that statement because if you believe it was tainted and there was fraud, it should drive everyone's purpose to get the audit done to prove and validate facts so we can do the right thing of buying for the people, and we're not doing that. We got to get the audit done and get the proof out there, and if prosecutions come and additional activities take place after the facts are out and prosecutions occur, fine. Now I've read, and I'll say it again publicly, when evidence proves illegalities. We're not talking irregularities or abnormal stuff. This is illegal things people did to change the outcome of the election. When that's publicized and proven and prosecuted, what does that mean? You just allow things to happen the way they happen and don't address that? I don't believe that's the case. I think you have to look at what happens if you pull back your electoral ballots. Now I've heard, I'm spinning with thought here, but I've heard and saw some people say things like, well, how can you decertify? You can't decertify. Well, gee, yes, you can. The legislative bodies for each state have the right to decertify perhaps once they have certified, right? And in this case, decertify might not be the right word. I'd like to pull the electoral ballots back from Wisconsin. I'd like to see our legislative bodies say, this is crap here, this stuff happened and it shouldn't have happened, it's illegal and these people are paying for it. Oh, by the way, it changed the outcome of the election. We're pulling our stuff back because now there's no question, right? Pull those 10 back. Arizona should pull their 11 back. Georgia should pull their 16 back. Okay, you take 37 off of the number that the guy who got appointed the election back. He's at 269. And even if you were to take those 37 and give them to the guy who should have won and didn't, he's still at 269. What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? It means you take the election of our presidency for our country, per the Constitution, to the House of Representatives. And each state gets one vote. I'll leave it there. If you want to know which party has the majority in the country, look it up. But that's where it should go. And that would be the constitutionally supported resolution to this problem after we get the fraud addressed. Now, why people don't want to address this is it remains unfathomable to me. I can't comprehend why every person in this country, Democrat and Republican, in public office and not, doesn't believe this is the number one issue. Most of the people in this state do. I travel all over, and I'll be talking about that in a minute, but it's the number one thing in our state right now. It's just something I've been pushing for nearly a year to address. I'm again reminded that I'm not the chair of the committee for campaign elections. I'm not the speaker, nor am I the governor. And if I were any one of those three, we'd be a little further along in this process, like a lot further, because we would have a resolution at this point in time. So here I am trying to work with what I have to work with, the means, the personnel, the process, the obstruction. It's getting old, but I will not stop. I will not waver. I will not terminate my efforts to do the right thing of, by, and for the people. We'll be back at you in a couple minutes. Thank you.
We would like everyone to see that we are always working towards truth and transparency, but are continually dealing with the deflection and indifference and hypocrisy here. Now we would like to give a wonderful example to what fellow patriots have done up in Barron County to help us build awareness to this situation.
Back at it again. Here we are. 2020 election audit obstruction. This is a very well written expression from my good friends up in Barron County, Wisconsin. And things like this move me deeply. I appreciate feedback from people. I don't take score in what I do. I don't say, look at me, look at me. I just want to get things done. But when I get a letter like this back, this is a full-page ad, by the way, that went into 3 papers up in that area of northwestern Wisconsin. I got to read you the first paragraph because it's pretty good. A year after the 2020 election, and Wisconsin still has not done a full audit of questionable mail-in ballots, counting practices, and electronic voting machine data. Why? Who is standing in the way? In March of this year, the Wisconsin Assembly, comprised of the legislators we the people elected, appointed Rep. Janelle Branchin, Republican from the 22nd District, chairperson for the Wisconsin Assembly's Campaign and Elections Committee, to lead the election investigation. And she started out doing a great job. That March 10th meeting with Eric Cardall was just, over the top. It was outstanding. However, immediately after this, Speaker Robin Vos' small organizational committee gave him authority to appoint a non-elected person to investigate the election. Vos then appointed Michael Gableman as special counsel. To make matters worse, Gableman was directed to report his election findings to Vos alone. Clearly, this was not democracy in action, and it did not provide transparency. More recently, Robin Vos wants to grant legal immunity to city mayors who engaged in known and suspected dereliction of duty. It mentions something about me, and I'll read it, but it's not easy. I don't like reading about myself, but it says something to the effect of Representative Tim Ramthun attended the Cyber Symposium, the only Wisconsin legislator to do so, and therefore knows how to ensure a comprehensive audit that can be trusted. It wasn't so much attending the symposium. In my 4.5 decades of private sector work where I managed Fortune 500 companies and Fortune 100 companies, I had audit responsibilities included in my job description and my objectives, which I met and exceeded everywhere. So I know how to run audits and other things. But anyway, the symposium didn't hurt. It just qualified the fact that we needed an audit. Because of this, and because he voted for it in March, Ramthun has issued public statements making it clear he gives complete support to Rep. Branchin's full forensic, physical, and cyber audit over any legislature-approved so-called audits. Most importantly, he has backed up his statements by consistently and aggressively supporting Branchin's efforts. I have to. She's a representative of my body. She's the chair of the committee that is and should be running point on this. And she's not really allowed to the fullest extent. Now, we have some activities with that committee. I'm hearing as early as next week where a hearing may occur, and I believe there may be a report from the special counsel coming out to that committee on that day, and that might explain why things got a little quiet again here. Last time there was a quietness, I think I used the term calm before the storm or something like that, and here I go, QAnon crap. But anyway, no, it's a calmness here because there's activity behind the scenes, and I think it has a lot to do with saving face. I really do. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that the attempts outside of the efforts of the committee have not materialized the types of things they should have and could have had they not reported to the chair like they should have. And because of that, if you've got to unwind stuff and maybe join forces to make it look like something happened, as long as we get it done, I suppose in a way it's okay, but it still doesn't excuse the fact that the wrong approach was taken. This was not good, effective leadership in a crisis management situation. And quite frankly, that's why I'm involved in this, because I wanted to get into that front row and say, here's how we need to do it. And I could never get it done because I'm not the speaker, I'm not the chair, and I'm not the governor. But hang on for coming attractions. We'll talk about that in another Ramthun Report. That's it for now. One more time. See you in a bit. Bye.
Our office would like to thank the Patriots of Barron County for their initiative to educate the people. If your county is looking to make a difference, we highly recommend following their example. Lastly, here's Representative Ramthun with an update on the latest proposed changes to voting districts, as well as some exciting news about changes to our office.
Last but certainly not least, ladies and gentlemen, AB 624 and AB Assembly Bill 625 are the redistricting bills that will hit the State of Affairs Committee next Thursday, the 28th of October at 9 o'clock in the morning in the Joint Finance Committee hearing room, which is 412 East. If you'd like to hear how the activities regarding the redistricting are going to be addressed from the state legislative body's perspective, come to those hearings. Come to the hearing next week on the 28th. I'll be there. I want to listen to this too. We have a resolution as well that's going to be addressed. There's 9 points of interest. I won't read them all, but suffice it to say, I can actually say something about redistricting now. The information is out. It's public. It's not official yet because it's still in process of committee analysis, vetting, and approval, just like all other legislative bills. Then it'll be given an executive where it'll be voted on whether it passes out of committee or not. And if it does, and I assume it will, then it'll move to the Assembly floor. And likewise, it happens in the Senate the same way, and then it moves to the Senate floor. And then collectively, the legislative body would pass by signature these two bills for not only the state redistricting for Assembly and Senate positions, but also congressional. AB 625 is congressional districts. There's 8 of them in the state of Wisconsin. And then it goes to the governor's desk for activity, and whether he vetoes them or not, and something happens after that, it could get judicial. I don't know. This happens once every 10 years, and no one's given me any crib notes on how this works. So we're going to see how it flies in the next couple of weeks, but at least we've got some detail out that's publicized. And if you have any questions or comments about the 59th, please don't hesitate to call my office. Tristan and my new assistant here working in the office, Aaron Yeager, have all the answers for every question you have. So don't hesitate to give Tristan or Aaron a call, and maybe on the next Ramthun Report we'll get them on camera just so we can make them blush a little bit. So thanks a lot for tuning in this week. Have a good one, and praise God from whom all blessings flow. Bye now.
This concludes our 33rd episode of the Ramthun Report. Remember to share this content with as many of your fellow patriots as possible. Together, we can truly restore the principles of a government of, by, and for the people. We'll see you next week. God bless you and yours always. Yay!